sorry. Daniel 9. Daniel 9. Where's he coming from? That's the last player.
We're in Europe.
Okay, you guys are getting it. Daniel 9. Look at verse 26. It says, after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off. And there's 1 week left. Of course, that week is the tribulation period. But not for himself. Jesus didn't die for himself. He died for all of us. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and the end of wars, desolations are determined. And of course he, the prince, shall confirm the covenant with the Jews for 1 week. There's that 1 week that's missing. That's the tribulation period. And in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And for the overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation and the determined blah blah blah. Who destroyed Israel in AD 70? Europe did. Rome did. Titus. He was a general who eventually became the Caesar. This is in verse 26. It's talking about the fall of Judah and Jerusalem in AD 70, and we know, and yet it connects it to the future Antichrist. The two are connected because it goes into the next verse talking about the end times. So we know the two are connected. So who does the Antichrist have control over? Europe.
Would that be the UN?
The UN, absolutely. So now watch. Here's all the players. The 4 players in the end are Europe and the Antichrist who controls Europe. Okay? Russia, Persia, and all the Arab people, and the kings of the East. Those are your 4 players. You say, where's America? We're not in it, folks. And by the way, we can't afford any more wars. You do understand that. We're broke. Okay? So now, those are the 4 players. Tell me, who's the first player and when's it going to happen? You know who the 4 players are. Who's the first player?
Russia.
Say the Antichrist.
Oh, Antichrist.
And he's got to come out. He's got to turn to Revelation 6. Look at verse 1.
By the way, in Daniel 9:26, what verse did you end off with?
Do what now?
What verse did you end off with? Verse chapter 9, verse 26 through what?
27. Yeah, 9:26 and 27.
Revelation.
Okay, by the way, did you hear about what's going to take place at 2 o'clock tomorrow? Anybody here? Todd called me. He said, "Hey, Brother Brad," he said, "I just heard it." And I'm thinking he misheard it, but it's going to be interesting. So I'm going to listen. The Ethiopian people are bringing up the Ark of the Covenant to the Pope tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That's what I said. Did you hear that too? And so he didn't hear that wrong.
Unbelievable.
Okay?
Whatever.
Now watch. If you look at verse 27 in Daniel chapter 9, the people of God are going to start sacrificing again. You can't sacrifice unless you've got an ark.
They already, I thought they had already built all the furniture and all that stuff too.
Okay, well, all I know is what Todd said. And I just kind of said, you must have misheard that on the radio. But I'm interested in seeing what takes place tomorrow at 2 o'clock. If they're bringing up the furniture, we're there.
I thought they already have the sacrifice.
Well, they already have the priests. They've trained all the priests. And you don't have to have a building. We know that.
Right.
They can go back to the temple worship through the tent and the tabernacle in the wilderness. Yeah.
You could like see.
I'm agreeing with you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, whether it does or doesn't, we're there.
This year.
Even if it doesn't do it this year, we're there. Okay? And that doesn't give us the right to go out and eat, drink, and be merry. Because if we're there, that means we're close. And that's the worst thing we want to do is go out and eat, drink, and be merry. Okay? We want to be prepared. So now remember who the players are. And remember in the order in which they're going to do what they're going to do. The Antichrist, are you there? Revelation 6. We're not going to get into what we're going to get into tonight. You know that.
Well, we're supposed to do this
Okay.
exercise.
Revelation what?
All right, Revelation 6, real quick.
We're being prepared.
Okay, look at verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened up one of the seals. Of course, this is talking about during the 7-year tribulation period at the beginning. Heard as it was a noise of them one of the four beasts, saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay, so you have your first seal here, right?
Right.
And the first seal introduces who? The Antichrist, not Jesus. This isn't Jesus on the white horse. This is the Antichrist. So, here's your four players. The Antichrist in the European Union. Okay, he's going to control Europe. Okay, you have Russia, you have China, and you have Persia and all the Muslim people. Okay, those are your four players at the end of the world. Are all four players active and alive right now? Yes or no?
Yes.
What do you see in the news all the time? You see Israel, you see the Arabs and how much they hate them, you see Russia lining up with Persia, with Iran, and you see China just exploding as a power. Okay? So, are all four players active, yes or no?
Yes.
Very active right now. So now all you have to do is see the order. The Antichrist is revealed first, which means we're out of here. The 7-year tribulation begins. Who's the next player to come on scene? Go ahead, say it.
The red horse, but it's Russia.
Russia, absolutely, the red horse. Look at the second seal. It says, verse 3, And when he had opened the second seal, said, Come and see. And they went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him to take what? Peace. That's the key word. See, the first 3.5 years of the tribulation are going to be very peaceful, because the Antichrist is going to eliminate all problems, and he's going to release people from the demons that are controlling them. People are going to think he's this wonderful person, and he's going to give everybody a mark where they can buy or sell, and of course a bunch of Christians are going to be gone, and all their assets are going to be divided amongst everybody else, and it's going to be great for about 3.5 years. But then somebody comes to take peace. And we know who that is. Ezekiel 38 tells us it's the second player of the final four. It's Russia himself. Russia comes and takes peace. How does Russia do that? Well, if you read Ezekiel 38, Russia comes down to take a spoil. Hello? Okay? And when Russia comes down to take a spoil, God, he intercedes personally and destroys Russia and all the hordes that come with Russia. Who's going to join Russia and come after Israel? The Arab nations, Persia, Iran, all the Arab nations. Man, they want them off the face of the earth. They're going to help Russia do this. And they're lined up with Russia right now. That's going to take place in the middle. When's the third or fourth player going to come on the scene? You got the first one, the Antichrist. You got the second and third one with Russia and all the Arabs coming down upon. What's the fourth one? China. Okay, now watch this very carefully. When does China come on the scene? During the last half of the tribulation. When all these nukes are exchanged and the whole world is experiencing hell on earth, all of a sudden, China says to the Antichrist in the European theater, because by the way, two of the players are out, right? The final four now became the final two. The final two are who? Europe and the Antichrist, and who? China. Okay? Now, there'll be Muslims and a little bit of Russia left over, the Bible says, but not much. And so China gets a hold of what's left in Russia and gets a hold of what's left in Persia and all the Arab people, and they say, this Antichrist has caused all this problem. And we're going after him. And they all come down to Armageddon to face the Antichrist and his armies. And the most interesting thing about all of this is that who set up the Antichrist to begin with? The devil. And the devil don't care about the Antichrist.
Nope.
This is, and yet we sell our souls to the world and the prince of the power of the air, when in the end, he's going to sacrifice the Antichrist. And the reason he's going to sacrifice the Antichrist is because he's going to try to get the whole world to blow up so Christ can't come back and save Israel. What a diabolical plan. That's how it all unfolds, folks. You got your major four players. They are alive and well now as I speak. And with what Todd said today was pretty interesting. I don't know how that's going to unfold, but it's pretty interesting.
See, I told you you shouldn't have your surgery in July.